softly now. Let go of the weight of waking. Let your breath begin to fall like petals on still water. Slower now, slower still. Let the world outside your body grow distant, like the echo of a dream fading before dawn. Here, you are safe, and the world we're about to enter is not quite real, not quite gone. A realm caught between breath and forgetting, between the last flicker of night and the hush before sunrise. There is a place, you see, not found on any map. It cannot be charted or summoned. It arrives only in the stillest hour, when the hush between two heartbeats is long enough to let something slip through. It's a realm sculpted not from matter, but from story, woven by whispers and shaped by silence. This is the land where shadows are alive, and the sun is but a canvas they choose to color. In that world, shadows do not follow, they lead, and the light, so bold and golden in our waking lives, is a painting, repainted each dawn by the ones we never see, the ones we only half remember in the corners of our sight. There, a shadow is not your opposite, it is your echo, your memory before you were born, your footprint through eternity. But not all shadows obey this cycle. One refused. And when it did, the sun changed. You, dreamer, are not here to solve anything. You are simply here to listen, to let the soft tide of myth wash over you. No decisions are needed, no meaning must be found, just float deeper in. Long before time counted its own footsteps, before the first glimmer of dawn brushed against anything like form, there was stillness, not dead, not empty, but humming with a hush so deep it echoed through nothingness like a song not yet sung. This was the hollow before light. It wasn't dark, for darkness presumes a contrast, a boundary between what is and what isn't. But in this beginning, even contrast had not been imagined. There was only the between, the great still ocean of unthought, unformed, unmade silence. And within it, not gods, not stars, not even dreams, only presences ancient and without face, without desire, without definition. They floated within the hush, not asleep, for there was no sleep, but still content in their being, which was neither presence nor absence, but some quiet music deeper than both. They were called the Siren by later tongues, not spirits, not deities, but the first echoes of intention, and their first impulse was not to create, but to remember. They remembered something that had never existed, warmth, not of fire, but of meaning, and that remembering stirred the quiet, like a breath held too long beginning to exhale. From the hush, there came friction, and from friction came the first flicker. It was not light, not yet, it was possibility. A quiver of becoming. The siren watched, or perhaps became, this quiver, and in doing so, they birthed the first tension between being and longing. Thus began the unseen ripple. It stretched outward in every direction, a pulse of silent intention, like the hush before an orchestra begins to play. But still, there was no sound, only movement, barely perceptible, like shadows moving beneath closed eyelids. And then came the first shadow. It wasn't cast. There was no light to cast it. It simply appeared, or rather, it defined the first form made not of presence, but of absence. It was the first silhouette, the outline of something that had not yet arrived, the shape of yearning. The siren gathered around it. They did not speak, they could not, but their presence deepened the shape, gave it edges, and the first silhouette grew more complex. It stretched, twisted, folded inward and outward at once. It became the womb of forms, a vessel for all things that would ever be seen. From that shadow, everything would unfold. But the siren, in their quiet wisdom, understood that something was needed to dance with the shadow, to define it, to make it beautiful, not to erase it, but to give it movement, contrast, story. So they remembered again, this time, They remembered color. The canvas had been touched. That first gesture, that quiet entwining of shadow and light, was not an accident, nor was it destiny. It was curiosity given form. And in the hush that followed, in the radiant silence, where the first outlines had shimmered into being, a rhythm began to pulse, not from outside, but from within the canvas itself. From that rhythm rose the first beings. They were not born, not in the way we think of birth. They did not begin. They stirred, as if they had always been sleeping, waiting beneath the brush strokes of potential. They rose like motifs in a psalm remembered, half heard and softly hummed by the canvas's dreaming breath. The first of these were the Velara, the painters of form. They did not possess hands, nor faces, nor voices. They were flowing outlines, like strokes of charcoal in water, constantly shifting, yet always retaining a sense of intention. They moved in arcs and spirals, and wherever they danced across the canvas, form began to congeal, not rigid, not fixed, but suggested. A mountain would emerge not as rock, but as a rising note in the earth's lullaby. A forest would drift into being like the cooling hush after rain. The Velara gave shape, but never solidity. They were more suggestion than sculptor, leaving room for wonder to seep through every crease. And as their movements intensified, a new presence emerged, not shaped by the Velara, but drawn to them. Lunith. The light within. She was the first of the illuminary, beings made entirely of inner radiance, not harsh like fire, but warm as memory. Lunith shimmered into being where the Velara had once layered shadow to deep, to thick. Her glow rose from beneath, like a breath of warmth under a blanket. She did not chase shadows. She danced with them, gently unraveling their mystery, just enough to let form flicker into view. The Velara adored her. They weaved themselves around her presence, casting long curving silhouettes through her soft illumination. With Lunith came color, subtle at first, the mauve of mist, the deep violet of sleep, the pale gold of dreams about to form. These were not pigments as we know them, but emotions made visible, swirled into substance by her patient light. Then came Auraim, the shaper of echoes. He did not shimmer. He pulsed. Where Lunith glowed, Auraim resonated. He emerged from a fold in the canvas where silence had curled into itself too tightly. When he opened his unseen mouth, no sound escaped, yet all things heard him, not with ears, but with bone, with breath. His presence gave weight to thought, rhythm to flow. He was the first heartbeat, the first low, the first measure of time. Lunith bathed him in gold. The Velara traced his outline again and again, until his form trembled like a memory on the brink of return. Auraim's gift was not to shape matter, but meaning. It was he who taught the canvas how to remember, and so, the strokes of the Velara gained memory. Their movements no longer dissolved immediately. They lingered, repeated, evolved. Patterns formed. From patterns came names. Names were not labels. They were harmonies, softly vibrating truths that held a thing's essence without pinning it down. And the first named beings began to emerge where shadow, light, and rhythm converged. They were called the Namurai, the children of the curve and the glow. They were the first to walk, slowly and without destination, across the canvas, admiring the colors and contours left behind by their forebears. They did not build cities. They did not till soil. Instead, they wandered and whispered the names of things into existence. With each whisper, the world grew more cohesive, not more solid, but more known. When a mountain was named, it hummed gently with its own tone. When a river was named, its water slowed, as if listening. The Namurai did not command the world, they sang with it. They were not lords, but companions, yet not all things wished to be known. From the edge of the canvas, where even the Velara hesitated to paint, came something else. The unshaped, not evil, not cruel, but different. The unshaped were born from untouched places, patches of the canvas left in silence too long, where light did not reach and shadows did not stretch. The canvas, once smooth and unbroken, had begun to ripple with echoes. What was once a sea of potential was now a living, breathing world, not fixed, not final, but gently unfolding with every breath of shadow, every note of light. It was a world without boundaries, where forests exhaled memory, and mountains slept with one eye open, watching the sky for forgotten songs. The beings that stirred upon it, the Valara, the Namurai, the Illuminary, and even the unshaped, were not builders of walls or dwellers of cities. They did not conquer or divide. Instead, they composed. They wove. And in their weaving, the world found rhythm. It was Seri, the dreamer of shadows, who first noticed the pattern. She sat, once, for 1,000 moments beneath a tree made entirely of scent and humming thought, and as she watched the dappled shade shift around her, she realized something. The shadows were repeating themselves, not perfectly, not like copies, but like verses of a poem sung by the wind. The light flickered in rhythm, the leaves sighed in time. The world was breathing in cycles, and where there is cycle, there is time. Not the time of ticking clocks or numbered days. No, this was living time, soft and coiled, moving like the tide, always returning, always different, a river of gentle turning, its current marked not by dates but by moments, feelings, dreams. The subtle turning of inward seasons. The first great rhythm was named Velithar, the pulse beneath all things. It whispered through stone and sky, gently tugging shadows toward the east when it was time to rest, and lifting light from the west when it was time to wake. The Namurai listened and learned. They began to craft seasons, not as weather, but as moods. The season of listening, when the air held its breath and even the trees stopped rustling. The season of warm color, when the canvas turned ochre and the clouds wept golden tears. The season of slow drifting, when nothing moved except dreams. And the season of returning, when forgotten names rose again like morning mist. Each season had its own palette of emotion, its own shadow language, its own kind of silence. And thus, the world deepened, not in complexity, but in feeling. But something more was needed. The canvas, now rich with layers, longed for anchors, not static points, but places where magic, that soft resonance between longing and becoming, could gather and sing. The first of these anchors were the aureoles, luminous hollows where shadow and light coiled together so tightly they became indistinguishable. They appeared spontaneously, often where the Valara had danced most delicately, or where a Namurai had lingered in stillness long enough for the canvas to remember their outline. The aureoles were not temples. They were not sacred because of what was done there, but because of what was felt. When one stepped into an aureole, the world softened, edges blurred. One might recall a childhood never lived, or weep for a home never known. These were places of deep magic, the kind that hummed without words, spoke without voice, and healed without touch. Around the aureoles, life began to coalesce. Not life as we know it, not bodies of muscle and bone, but life in the form of intention, stones that dreamed, rivers that remembered, winds that listened, trees that whispered lullabies in languages no one had taught them. And slowly, the world found itself inhabited. Beings arose who were of the canvas, shaped by its curves, colored by its moods. They did not call themselves gods, though some would later be remembered that way. They were called the Silith, the interpreters. Each Silith embodied a harmony, not an element or force, but an emotional truth that resonated through the world's dreaming veins. There was Malha, the gentle dimming, whose footsteps softened light and brought rest to weary places. Wherever she passed, twilight followed, not darkness, but the sigh before sleep. There was Orin, the shard of first wonder, who left trails of silver ink behind him in the sky. His presence turned clouds into stories and mountains into questions. There was Thran, the echo without source, whose voice was never heard directly, only reflected. In the hush between raindrops, in the space between two verses of song. He was not followed, only felt. The Silith did not command, they got. There was a time, if such a word still applies to a world where time flowed like breath, when all things danced in quiet rhythm. The shadow coiled and uncoiled, the light painted and softened, the canvas listened, and the world hummed gently with becoming. All was fluid, and nothing demanded to be remembered more than any other thing. But then came a shadow who lingered too long in the echo of its own motion, not out of pride, not out of rebellion, out of a single, quiet yearning to see. This was not Seri, the dreamer, nor Lunith, the weaver of light, nor the rhythm of Araim or the shapers of Valara. This shadow did not come from their kind. It came after. Or perhaps between. The tales call it Marail, though it never chose the name itself. It had no mouth to speak it, no voice to claim it. Marail was not born as others were. It did not stir from the canvas like a ripple from a dream. It emerged from absence, not a place, not a gap, but a moment when the world turned away, when light paused, when shadow extended without limit. In that stretch, in that infinite moment of breath held too long, Marail opened its unseen eyes. It was not shaped like the others. It did not shimmer like the luminary, nor trace the sky in silver script like the Silith. It had no curvature, no limb, no eye or limb. Marail was the outline of things not yet imagined, a shape you feel rather than see, a presence that presses gently against the back of your thought, waiting for you to turn and look, though nothing is there when you do. But Marail saw. It saw the way light kissed shadow, how the Valara danced in circles that always closed, how names gave solidity, how rhythm invited permanence, and for a time, a long time, it watched in silence. It hid beneath things, beneath trees whose leaves glowed with memory, beneath rivers that sang lullabies to the wind, beneath the Arails, where beings came to remember what they had not yet forgotten. Marail was always beneath attention, beneath knowing, beneath the threshold of thought. And it listened. It listened to the way Lunith bathed the world in softness. It listened to how Araim marked time with invisible drums. It listened to the Namurai whispering names into bark and stone. And it asked, quietly, to itself, what if the canvas could be painted another way, not in circles, not in rhythms, not in light, but in stillness? Marail did not speak, for it had no sound, but it began to move, slowly, tentatively, like mist learning the shape of a hollow. It drifted to places not yet touched, edges of edges where the canvas still held, quiet, and there, it began to make, but not like the Valara. Marail did not trace curves or echo rhythms. It unfolded. Where it passed, forms did not appear, but potential did. As if the canvas, sensing its presence, held its breath, and in that pause things changed, not visibly, not loudly, but subtly. The colors of dawn shifted slightly. Shadows began to stretch just a moment longer. Certain rails dimmed, as if reflecting something deeper. And for the first time in the history of the waking world, the canvas whispered something back. Not a word, not a command, but a vision. It came to Marail not as picture or prophecy, but as sensation, a deep, aching pull toward creation, not for the sake of beauty, not for balance or remembrance, but simply to see what would happen. And so, Marail began its work. It did not dance like the Valara, or hum like Araim, or glow like Lunith. It painted, not with light, not with color, not even with shape. Morel painted with shadow, not the cast-off echo of form, but the shadow as form itself. At first, it was a slow art. It would, in the still hush between one age and another, Morel's work began to change the way the world understood itself. The canvas, which had always welcomed light with eager openness, now hesitated at the edge of dawn, where once the day had arrived, as a soft flooding, a gleam that rushed in to kiss every curve and uncover every surface. Now, it entered more carefully. It paused in Morel's painted places, as if uncertain whether to reveal or to be revealed. The silhouette gathered, gently, without decree. They met beneath a sky the color of softened ink, above a valley where Morel had left shadow art that glimmered, without moving. Delicate patterns spiraled into the hills like fingerprints of forgotten gods. The silhouette did not judge. That was not their way. But they felt, and what they felt in Morel's work was different. It was not balance. It was intention. Orem, the silent rhythm, pulsed low. The beat of time slowed around Morel's places, as if uncertain whether to proceed or pause. Melha let her twilight linger longer each day, curious what would unfold in the in-between. And Luneth, always the tender illuminator, began dimming her glow slightly, not from fear, but to let the shadows speak more clearly. They did not speak with Morel, they reflected upon it. But one silhouette, the youngest, the least certain of their own resonance, chose differently. Silent, whose name meant the echo of a dream not yet dreamt, watched Morel with a soft kind of wonder that bordered on ache. Silent had no strong domain. They drifted between notes, between feelings, neither sorrow nor joy, neither dawn nor dusk. They often watched from afar, unnoticed, content to exist without imprint. But Morel's work, its quiet assertion, its gentle defiance, stirred something dormant. One dusk, beneath a sky draped in deep silver gray, Silent followed the edges of one of Morel's strokes. It lay across a hill like spilled ink, frozen in air, not attached to any object, but gently floating above the earth by the width of a sigh. Within it shimmered half-forms, an arch that could be a doorway, a tree that might be a reaching hand, a figure without face holding a cup without contents. Silent reached out, not with hands, but with their attention, and the painting responded. It shifted very slightly. The half-door opened just a sliver. The hand lowered the cup, and Silent understood. These shadows were not only paintings, they were questions. Morel had not created static symbols. Each shadow was alive in its own stillness, waiting for another presence to lean in and complete it. This was not power over the canvas. This was collaboration with the unknown. Silent wept, not from sorrow, nor joy, but from the awe of knowing they, too, could take part. From that night onward, Silent returned each dusk to a new painted place. They didn't alter the shadows directly. They sat beside them, watched them shift, whispered to them not in words, but in possibility. And slowly, the shadows grew more articulate, not in shape, but in resonance. One evening, while resting beside a pool painted with inverted constellations, Morel's first night, painted in full, Silent felt something stir behind them. They turned, and there Morel stood, not imposing, not distant, but present. Their form, though still undefined, pulsed with subtle suggestion. A cloak made of folded dusk, a face composed of memory and negative space, movements as soft as the pull of sleep. Morel did not speak, but from them emanated a question. Not why are you here, not do you understand, but simply, will you paint with me? Silent did not answer aloud. They extended their presence forward, a willingness, a soft acceptance. And in that moment, Morel stepped aside, offering Silent their first untouched shadow. Together, They painted, but this was no ordinary act of creation, for what they painted was not for the world, not for the canvas. Long after the day the sun wept, the world remembered, not through stories etched in stone, nor monuments cast in light, but through the silence that fell just before every dawn. It became known, in hushed tones and lullabies, as the still minute, the breathless pause before the first gleam touches the edge of the world. It is subtle, unnoticed by those who rise too quickly, but always there, a soft folding inward of all things. Birds quiet, winds settle, even rivers seem to slow their song. That moment is Morale, though the shadow being no longer walked the canvas. Their influence permeated the waking world like a scent from a forgotten childhood. Impossible to name, yet deeply felt, the shadows they painted endured, not as fixed images, but as living symbols, shifting gently with time, responding not to weather or wind, but to the mood of the world. Walkers of the areas, those gentle souls who drifted from silence to silence, in search of resonance, began to note new forms appearing in the sacred places, shadows with no clear source, floating just above the surface of still pools, or curling under the eaves of sleeping trees. If one sat long enough, these shapes would unfold, not with motion, but with emotion. They were invitations to feel. The Namurai, once so certain in the naming of things, began to soften their tongues. They no longer offered one name per form. Now, they whispered many. Each object held layers. A hill might be called resting memory at dusk, but question unasked at dawn. The act of naming itself became a kind of music, a weaving of interpretations rather than a stamping of truth, and all of it traced back to the shadow who had painted the sun. Morale's legend was not carried by bold song or carved into the sky. It echoed, quietly, intimately. It passed from hand to hand in the way a hush settles in a room full of warmth. It became a kind of myth within the myth, not taught but felt, not enforced but trusted. Children born during the still minute were said to carry a deeper understanding of form. Their drawings curled into symbols no teacher could decode. Their questions always hovered just beneath the surface of comprehension. And then there were the paint binders. They did not call themselves that. The name was given by those who observed their work, in wonder. These were beings, not only Namurai, but sometimes even unshaped, who dedicated themselves to walking the canvas at dawn, carrying empty parchment and silence in their hearts. They did not seek to paint with pigment or with voice. They sought to listen to shadow, and when the light struck just right, they would press their pages to the painted shadows left behind by Morale's passing. What emerged were mirrors not of surface, but of soul. Each page captured something different, depending on who pressed it. One might reveal the curved outline of a tree that had never grown. Another might show a door in the sky. Another, still, might capture a single word, written in lightless ink. Before, these artifacts were not hoarded. They were left in resting places, tied to branches, slipped beneath stones, or folded into sleeping rivers, so that others might find them when they needed to. Morale had taught the world a new kind of power, not one of command or creation, but of invitation. And this invitation echoed deep beneath the visible world, beneath its painted shadows and soft-spoken myths. There lies something more elusive still, a whisper hidden even from time. It is not spoken of openly, even among the Namurai, even in the circles of the Silith, or the dreaming pots of the Aurales. It is only ever referred to as the murals beneath. They are not murals in the traditional sense. No hand paints them. No eyes truly see them. They do not hang on temple walls, nor are they etched into stone. These images are never made. They are only revealed, briefly, unpredictably, always in twilight. and only on surfaces that should hold nothing at all. The side of a stone face that has never seen the sun, the underside of a floating bridge, visible only through reflection, the back of a falling leaf just before it touches the earth, the exposed roots of a tree felled by wind and forgotten by moss. In these strange places, when shadow meets light in perfect balance, a flicker may appear, faint and formless at first, like dust caught in a slant of sunlight. But if one lingers, still and breath held just long enough, the flicker gathers shape, lines begin to form, curves suggest meaning, and then a mural, vast and silent, begins to bloom beneath the surface of the world. And just as quickly, it vanishes. No to have seen the same mural twice. No one has recorded them. No parchment holds their patterns. No mouth has spoken their truths, only echoes remain. The Aurels believe these murals are left by Morale, not in presence, but in memory. They say each mural is a shadowed page from a dream the canvas once had, briefly glimpsed through folds in the world. Others say the murals are wounds, gentle and unbleeding, places where the canvas sighs, and the breath of what might have been spills through. But there is a deeper belief, more secret, more tender, one not spoken, but known in the quiet of sleep, that these murals are not art, they are reminders of something we were never supposed to forget. The first confirmed sighting, or rather, sharing, of one of the murals beneath came from a child, a wanderer born under the still minute, whose dreams had always taken on peculiar hues. The child spoke very little. They often sat facing corners, tracing shapes in dust. One dusk, near the edge of a stone basin filled with rain and silence, they reached beneath the lip of the basin and simply whispered. The murals beneath became the gentlest obsession of the wanderers, sages, and seekers who drifted across the canvas in silence, not to solve, but to sit with the mystery. For unlike most stories, the murals did not ask to be explained. They asked only to be felt, and yet, even the softest riddle eventually draws a circle of interpretations round itself. The Aurelic scholars, those who lived near the pools of silence and recorded the movement of dreams across water, offered a sacred theory. The murals were echoes from before the first pact, predating even the shadow-light bond. According to their quiet teachings, these images are not memories, but remnants of intention that never found shape, not what the world was, nor what it would be, but what it almost became. The canvas, they say, still carries those gentle non-histories like an old song half forgotten, and from time to time, under the hush of twilight, the canvas hums that melody to itself again. A different view emerged from the Valaran remnants, descendants of the early form painters, who still move across the open lands with flowing silken robes and trails of scent. They believe the murals are unfinished sketches left by the original Valara, not forgotten, but deliberately left incomplete. Their philosophy teaches that not all art is meant to be resolved. Some shapes, they say, are more powerful as invitations than conclusions. In this view, the murals beneath are not mistakes, but questions carved into the canvas itself, awaiting a future eye or heart capable of answering them. The night-faced oracles, whose veiled visions dwell in the cities carved from shadow dust, beneath the hollow cliffs, take a darker interpretation. To them, the murals beneath are not echoes of the past, nor sketches of futures that might have been, but warnings. They speak of a fifth force beyond shadow, light, time, and dream, a force never named, never agreed upon, only glimpsed in shivers and forgotten sleep. They believe the murals are this force's attempt to speak across the fabric of the world, not in words, but in emotional geometry. Their warning that the balance we feel is not as still as it seems. Not all interpretations are vast or scholarly. the children of the eastern floating villages, those who sleep with fish song and wake to sky mist, tell simpler stories. They believe the murals come from a painter who lives upside down, beneath the world, walking ceilings of rock and root. They say this painter doesn't use brushes, but dips their long fingers into pools of unspoken feelings and flings them at the bottom of the world. If you're very quiet, they say, you can hear them laughing when the light strikes just wrong. Some whisper that the murals are left by our shadows, not by Morale, but by us. That in moments of stillness, when we lean too close to the edge of forgetting, our shadows remember what we've lost and paint it somewhere we'll almost see. It's why the murals feel familiar but untouchable, like something we once promised ourselves long ago. In a dream. There is even one belief, barely spoken, shared only by those who walk deepest into the dusk alone, that the murals are not images at all, but mirrors that do not reflect your face or even your form, but instead the shape of the questions you are carrying. That is why the murals change. Why no two people see the same image? The mural is not showing what is there. It is showing what you're trying not to see. There's a soft sadness. There comes a moment in every journey, soft and unsought, when the questions we carry begin to feel less like burdens and more like companions, not to be solved, but to be shared quietly. As we walk, the murals beneath are such questions. They arrive without certainty, without pattern, without explanation, and yet leave behind something far more enduring than answers. They leave behind presence, a lingering sense that the world, for all its silence and softness, is speaking in ways far deeper than words. Perhaps that is why the murals resist being understood, why they shimmer just out of reach. Why their forms are never fixed, why their meanings shift from eye to eye, why they vanish just when the breath hitches with recognition. The murals do not exist to be possessed. They are not secrets meant to be unraveled, nor puzzles designed to reward cleverness. They are invitations to pause, to look again, not outward, but inward. To wonder not what something means, but what it feels like to be near it. Because perhaps the deepest truths are not those that can be told, but those that can only be sat beside. The Auralic walkers, those silent travelers of the reflective pools, have a custom known as the unasking. It is not a ritual of forgetting, but of release. When a question has grown too heavy, too sharp, too large for the edges of thought, they bring it to the place of murals and sit in stillness. They do not ask, they do not speak, they simply rest, and slowly, over the hush of dusk, the question begins to unravel itself, not through revelation, but through being held gently enough to dissolve. In this, the murals teach us something rare, that not all knowing requires clarity, that some knowing happens by staying, by softening our gaze, by quieting the impulse to explain, by allowing a thing, a shape, a shadow, a memory, to exist in its own form. In the soft folds of myth, where silence lingers longer than speech and meaning is more gesture than word, the story of Morale is passed like a candle from hand to hand, not to banish darkness, but to share warmth. This is the version most have heard, if they have heard of Morale at all. It is a gentle tale, taught softly beneath twilight canopies, riddled by sand painters along quiet shores, sung in lullabies by those who watch over the edges of dreams. It begins not with thunder, nor light, nor even voice, but with a pause. The pause before the first sunrise. The moment before the canvas truly became the world. In that hush, as light prepared to pour into form, a single shadow refused to follow the rhythm, not out of defiance, but of longing. It stayed behind as all others moved forward, and in its stillness, it began to wonder, what if the sun didn't define the world? What if shadow could paint it first? Thus came Morail, the quiet shadow, the painter of the unseen, the one who never named themselves, but was known by the impression left behind. They drifted through dawn not as a herald, but as a question. According to the traditional retelling, Morail never walked among the gods. They did not rise from the Valara, nor emerge from the breath of the Silith. They were born from unwitnessed moments, shaped by the subtle curve between thought and silence. Morail was the first to understand that shadow was not an absence of light, but its partner. But as with all myths passed from dusk to dusk, there are corners left untouched, brush strokes too soft to see unless one turns the canvas just so, and catches the light from the side. And if one listens beneath the lullabies, beneath the poetry, beneath the reverent silence that cradles the tale of Morail, another version stirs. It is not louder, not darker, but more complicated. It begins not with Morail's longing, but with their anger, not a furious fire, nor a raging storm, but the quiet ache of being misunderstood for so long that even silence begins to fracture. This version comes from the stone keepers of the Hollow Mirror, who dwell far beyond the star-painted dunes, beneath a sky that forgets its own color by morning. They tell of Morail not as a solitary painter, but as one of many, the first shades, ancient beings who lived in communion with the canvas before light ever touched it. According to their telling, the original canvas was not meant to be painted at all. It was sacred in its unshapedness, a realm of subtle suggestion, of becoming without boundary. The shades lived in harmony with that silence, not molding it, but listening to it forever. Then came light. Bold, beautiful, and certain. The arrival of light brought structure, visibility, permanence. It cast edges where there had been gradients. It offered names where there had been possibility. It was not cruel. It did not intend to wound, but in its brilliance, it could not see what it was unmaking. The other shades bowed to this change. They accepted their new place beneath form, beneath attention. They learned to live in reflection, in outline, in afterthought, but not Morail. Morail remembered the time before shape, and they mourned it. Their first paintings, the stone keepers say, were not offerings. They were acts of grief. They painted in shadow not to invite wonder, but to remind the canvas of what had been taken. Their strokes were not invitations. They were memorials. The early murals, now lost or never seen, were full of sorrow. They showed not dreams, but absences of voices. Stories, like shadows, shift. They move not because they are untrue, but because they are alive. They stretch toward light, then retreat into dusk. They echo differently depending on who listens, and where, and when. They return in new forms, gentler, sharper, softer, not to contradict themselves, but to complete themselves through retelling. So it is with the story of Morail. There is the tale passed down beneath warm twilight, where a quiet shadow painted softly and taught the world to see with reverence. And there is the deeper, more veiled telling, where the same shadow painted out of grief, a mourning for what was lost beneath the brilliance of form. Is one more true than the other, or is the truth not in choosing between them, but in understanding that both are needed? In the world of the canvas, no shape exists alone. Every form is born from contrast. Every outline is only seen when something lingers behind it. Morail's story, too, cannot be held in a single light. It must be viewed from many sides, allowed to shift, allowed to breathe, because the truth of Morail is not what they did, but what they invited. A new way to see, a new way to not know, and still feel safe, a new way to create that doesn't consume. In both tellings, the cherished and the forgotten, Morail paints not with answers, but with possibilities, and perhaps that is the legacy they intended all along. Not to be remembered as a hero, or a rebel, or a sorrow, or a saint, but as a shadow that allowed others to reflect. There are no temples to Mora El. No statues carved in their name. Only the brief pause before dawn. Only the strange moment when the light feels like it's listening. Only the hush when a shadow curves just so, and something flickers in the corner of your knowing. Something you cannot quite describe, but feel deeply. That is their story, and like all stories that matter, it was never meant to end. Because stories do not end, they rest. And now, dear listener, we drift to the close of this dream. You've journeyed far, not through mountains or battlefields, not across oceans or star-swept skies, but through the soft corridors of myth, the kind carved in silence, layered, like folded cloth, whispered more in shape than in sound. These are the stories that move beneath the surface of thought, gently nudging us towards something we already know, but have not yet remembered. Tonight, you followed the shadow called Mora El. Not with footsteps, not with certainty, but with breath and softness and stillness. You wandered through the birth of the world as it once dreamed itself into form. You saw the canvas as it was before time wore grooves into its face. Smooth, shimmering, waiting. You watched the first dances between shadow and light, the slow rhythms of naming, the way meaning curved into being like dew finding shape on morning leaves. And then you watched Morale pause. You watched them linger where others moved forward, paint where others revealed, suggest where others spoke. You saw them refuse to vanish. You heard the legends, one wrapped in reverence, another folded in sorrow, and somewhere between the two, you felt something shift, not in the world outside, but in the quiet world within, because Morel's story was never only about creation, it was about presence. The quiet kind that listens before it speaks, that observes without assuming, that leaves room. And now, as your own breath slows, as your body settles further into the softness that holds it, you may find that the story is not leaving you. It is curling gently around your shoulders. It is resting beside you, like a cloak of dusk, and just behind your eyes, in that space where thought dissolves into dream, a shadow begins to stir, not to frighten, but to accompany, to reflect, to gently paint your sleep with images only you can see.